I mean, you'd have to go in the code and like, I mean, you'd have to overwrite some core code, you know.
Oh,
You can't do it. I mean, if you're talking about like that, you couldn't really do it upgrade safe. You'd have to do something. If you wanted to do something upgrade safe, you'd have to do it in custom management where you like kind of preset or reset the default dashboard for the user, each user.
for each user.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you could get the portlet model by the ID and the user, the layout ID and the user ID. And you'd kind of have to like reset that, you know?
Yeah. So maybe this could be, I'm not sure if anyone else is interested in it, just allowing users to select the dashboard, so an administrator creates a particular dashboard and people can say, hey, this particular dashboard my default one.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. We really probably should do that. I think we have that story somewhere, but people do keep bringing that up.
I have heard
I'll look
about
for that. I'll look for that story.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
No
Yeah,
problem.
no problem.
All right,
Okay,
Windsor.
let's see what's next.
You wanted a database. You have a couple things, David. You asked about. Someone asked about DB walkthrough on the forums, and then you got this. Is this the same thing, or are these two different things? Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, yeah, it's the same thing. If I put a link to it, and I think Daniel also referenced this in his last comment.
Right.
Okay. Well, then let's do it. Performance improvements, slow import, server, almost no load. Are you using English, or are you using... Because we've seen some slowness issues with a couple of the language packs.
Well, with the language pack thing, I responded on that forum post. I didn't get any responses yet, but I think it's the people who are not using Memcache. If you're using other languages, you basically have to use Memcache.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too unworkable. You should
Jason?
be using Memcache anyways.
Yeah.
Jason?
Yeah.
This is David. There was a post in the forums where somebody said that he was having a language problems, and he did some digging around, and he found out that if you're using a language other than English, then it's going to do a lot more queries against the database.
Right, if you're not using Memcache. Because the language data is all stored in the database. So if you're not using Memcache, it has no way to cache it. It has to query the database for all the labels.
Fine. In my case, I'm using Memcache, almost 8 K for memory, and not the default configuration, but the performance
You said
is
8K?
Yeah.
8.
8. Sorry. 8 megabyte.
Oh, for the Memcache? I mean, you should have that Memcache set to probably 256 or 512 megs.
512. Okay, I also tried that, and the performance was not 5% better. So I'm having really slow imports, especially with contact imports and account imports. Leads are twice as fast, but the performance is anyway very, very slow. I'd say.
So you're talking about language labels you're having problems with, or the import?
The import. Nothing to do
Okay.
with the language.
Okay.
I'm trying that with English only. All other languages are deactivated, and when importing leads, I get at the most, say, two leads per second, and for accounts, 1 per second. And the server has almost no load in the memory or CPU or anything.
You said you have Memcache only at 8 megs?
Yeah.
I mean, I would try to increase that. I mean, again, I don't know how complex of your import. If you're doing dedupe, are you using the dedupe functionality while you import?
No, without deduping.
How many are you trying to import?
It was about 7K records.
You're getting 1 a second?
Yep. For contact. And the load on the server is almost 5% for the CPU, and I'd say 2 gigabyte from 32 occupied, and the rest
Is there
free.
some slow query or something?
No, I couldn't find any.
But does it eventually finish up okay?
There's no problem with the import. It finalizes properly,
No.
so there's no disruption or abrupt, I don't know, error or whatever. It's just very, very slow.
I can confirm that. And it seems to be just like the poster said, when we have a lot of records, each additional record, it's some factor slower.
Yep. I also tried making the InnoDB buffer pools bigger, and no, there was no improvement. I think it's something in the way Zurmo passes the queries to the database.
We gotta look into it. I mean, it might be just some performance things we need to improve with that. You know.
Maybe I can send you all the settings so you can look at them. I don't know which could be important for your analysis.
Well, you should try it with the memcache higher. You know.
Okay, higher.
I don't know if that'll. I don't really know if that'll make a difference though.
It didn't make any difference. I tried to raise it to 512. It was the same, and then put it 8.
Do you have this? Do you have a lot of groups and roles or something?
No, it was really flat. 10 users and a lot of records. Only that. No roles, no security group, no nothing.
You have SSD on your computer? Is it SSD?
SSD, right. Mirror disks, RAID 1.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to try it out and see what happens. I mean, to me, it sounds like there's just some performance tuning that has to be done. Not necessarily on the server side. Something in the app, maybe.
Or the database.
Or the database, yeah. Yeah, it's tough to say. Import's one of those things where it does a lot of stuff, and it's only happening once in a really. It doesn't happen very often. So I mean, it's something that seems like we just have to look and try to troubleshoot, or try to just see what we can do with performance there.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. What's the next question?
James had a question. Wanted to show an example of how to hard code a new address field within a custom module.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, you're kind of soft.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, slightly. You can shout.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just trying to. I was having some trouble adding just a simple address type field to a custom module.
Got it. And this new address field would be, well, okay. Is this something we can show, Jason?
I mean, I have a general idea, so just like a very quick walkthrough to make sure I'm doing all the steps properly.
Brief how to hard code a new address field within a custom module.
Or within a regular module, if the logic's the same. I know you have to include on a custom module. You have to do the red bean model instead of static, and small things like that.
Is it literally you want to have another address model, like a tertiary address or something?
Yeah, we actually just want to have within our custom module. We want to have an address field that's linked to just another type of module.
Okay, so you just want to have the custom module have an address model in it.
Correct.
Okay. If you want to show your screen, well, I can really, I guess I can just show it really, right? If you want to switch, or we can show your screen and I can kind of see what you're doing wrong. Or did you try it already and it didn't work?
Yeah, I had tried it already. I don't have the code pulled up right now. I can get to that real quick if you'd like, or you can.
It might be best to do that. And we could show your screen because I can see what you're doing. It should be pretty straightforward to do.
Just so you know, James, we're recording this, so you may want to.
Yeah, we're going to put this up later. If that doesn't work for you, though, I can try to just show on my screen something.
I mean, you can just go ahead and show me because I think I'll get a pretty good grasp of it with.
Okay,
with
all right, yeah, Ray, you can
about
switch
it.
to me then. That's
Okay. We are recording these nowadays and putting them on our YouTube channel. So,
Right.
yes. So just be careful what you say in these sessions now.
Yeah. All right. So basically, for an address field, really, all you're really looking to do is really, if you look at something like accounts, if you look at the model, all you really have to do is add a relation, kind of like billing addresses here. Except you probably call it like tertiary address, with a link type specific tertiary address has one address. You'd also have to declare it in the elements, so you know what kind of element it is. You would declare the attribute as tertiary address.
And I had done that, and then I added the array for the element within the edit and details view.
Yeah.
And then I updated schema and all that, and I still wasn't seeing a new field populate.
Well, when you update schema in the database, did it add a column for the own relation to it?
It did not.
Well, you might want to try clearing cache. Clear cache equals 1 before you run the update schema.
Okay, I mean we've done it several times where we updated the cache.
Well, there's another possibility. Did you use Designer at all on that module?
On that module to add custom fields, yes.
Well, then there's your problem, because you know that data gets stored in the database. So if you're adding things in a custom module with Designer and now you're adding things in the code, you'd have to use custom management to do it.
Okay,
To resolve it, you'd have to use resolve custom data.
Yeah, we had it running through a custom module through like the Zurmo Zoo extension, and we had been updating the custom management, resolving that. I mean, clearing the.
You'd have to do it in there as well, because unless you want to just clear out your all the custom stuff you've added to the custom module using Designer.
Okay.
If you want to do that, in the global metadata table, you could clear out the row for your custom model. But if not, then if you want to keep all that data from Designer, you'd have to use custom management to effectively additionally resolve in this information that I just showed you in the model. You'd have to do it also in custom management. You'd have to. Because otherwise it won't merge that data into the custom data.
Okay. So it is just the only places the field need to be added is within the relations and the elements.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be it.
All right.
I mean, the layouts is the same thing. I mean, if you wanted to keep, I mean, for layouts though, I mean, you could just clear out the global metadata table for those rows and redo your layouts after you. Well, actually, you wouldn't have to do that, no, because you could just go into Designer for the layouts and add the address field in. That wouldn't be an issue. But the model part, you'd kind of have to use custom management.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Good question. I think next would be Cameron. He wants to know about the API, where to place the API information for sending information out to an e-signature system.
Well, what you'd have to do there, Cameron, is you'd have to create some sort of observer class. For example, like if we were to look at maybe conversations, for example, you have an observer, and you'd have to look and search for conversations observer to really understand how it was used. And there's like 13 places that you'll see. And basically you'd have to initialize this, and their model class would be whatever model you're talking about. If it's contacts or accounts, you'd attach an event handler. I don't know. I assume maybe you're are you doing this like on save, or when are you doing this?
I guess I don't understand what you mean by on save.
Well, like when are you trying to send the information to the API?
Oh, I'm trying to send basically I want to take basic client information and input it into a template on like EchoSign, DocuSign, something along those lines, then I have a template on EchoSign, but I need to pull specific information out of because we used it a little Zurmo a little bit differently. We have a lot of things that are renamed and stuff like that. But like out of a current client that we have, we would pull first name, last name, address, all basic client information, and input it into a template document on EchoSign and send it out to that client.
But are you going to pull it? Are you going to pull it out of Zurmo, or are you going to push it from Zurmo?
I'm going to push it out of Zurmo.
When are you going to push it out of Zurmo?
I guess it would depend on whatever trigger I'm allowed to set for it.
Well, I mean, are you wanting to push it like on a regular basis, or like does someone have to hit a button on the screen?
I'd like it to be like a button on the screen, basically, so that they hit something like send
Oh well,
client
I mean, in that case, you could just make an element. You could just make an element.
Make fucking new bit.
I mean, if you're in accounts or contacts?
It would be contacts.
Okay, fine. So let's go to contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So under options, you could have a button here. Okay.
Really? Okay.
You'd have to do custom management. You'd have to build it like that, but that wouldn't be hard. You'd make an element. Elements, action element. Well, here's the delete one. So you'd have to look at how the action elements are done.
Okay.
And you'd have to do it in custom management. So you'd have to come, well, again, you have to do this custom. You'd have to add in, because these are the elements here under contact, you'd have to use custom management to insert this into the metadata. Once you make a call to your element, then it actually becomes pretty easy, because then inside the action element, you can kind of make it do whatever you want to do, whether you want to call something curl or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I suppose, how I would do that.
Okay. All right. That answers my question.
Okay, great.
Looks like Mitesh has a
I just wanted
question.
to make sure that I could actually do it.
Are you familiar with custom management and that whole way of doing things?
Nope, but I'm probably going to hire an Indian to do it for me.
All right.
Oh my God, okay.
Well, we can put the Zurmo Zoo. I can put the Zurmo Zoo link. That's probably the best example, right, Jason? Custom
Yeah,
management?
Zurmo Zoo is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, let me get that for you here.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Mitesh has a question about...
Oh, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Yes, Mitesh, integrating Zurmo with Amazon S3, store attachments provide, okay. So you want to use Amazon for like your document storage?
Yeah, Mitesh, I don't know what you're trying... Well, store attachments, I mean, right now it's all stored in the database. So, I mean, we don't have a way... I mean, we don't have it architected right now to split out the attachments to store in a file system. I mean, you could do it at the database level because, I mean, the files are all stored in, like, a couple tables. So, I mean, you could, like, do it at the database level. Could we also provide role-based access? We intend to use a single account. I'm not really sure what you're asking about role-based I'm not really sure what you're trying to ask about role-based access in regards to Amazon. So I don't know if you're still on or...
Yeah, Mitesh, if you can speak up, that's fine. Or type away. We're kind of not so clear on your questions. Okay. All right. I hope we answered something. Okay, let's see. Daniel, thanks for joining. guess we ran through the chat log. If there are any more questions, keep chatting them, or you can speak them up. We got about another.
Okay,
Yep, Leandro.
I have one more. Sorry.
No problem.
Yes, let me type it here. Let me ask you this. When I put the debug mode on true, I don't receive the email notifications. Is that right? Is that possible?
Say that again.
When I get the debug mode in true, I am not receiving notifications on emails.
When you have debug in true?
Yes. I can't. I'm not receiving email notifications.
I mean, I don't know
Let me
why. You're saying when debug is off, you get them?
Yep.
You have to look in the application log. Maybe there's something going on or some error or something.
Okay. Okay.
That only happens when debug is on. It could be the case with some sort of assertion.
Okay. Okay. And I have one more. Let me type you this. If you can help me with this, it will be awesome. I have the last one.
As a user, I need to have access. Is there a link on the
If I have
forums, or is this just you're just typing it in?
When no, just typing it.
Okay, that's fine.
I can.
As a user, I need access to a task that has been assigned to me, even if I don't have access to the project. I can only open it from my open task portlet, but I can't from the direct URL searching through my tasks. Okay.
I actually got that forum. Sorry.
Okay, I thought that was in the forums. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
So you're assigned the task, you're the owner of the task, but you're not the owner of the project, right?
Exactly. I can access from the portlet, but when I go to the URL,
This is assigned to me.
Yes. Well, that sounds like a loophole here.
As a user, I need to have access. I can only open it from my open task portlet, but I can't from the direct URL or searching through my tasks.
when I go to the direct URL, I get the message that says I have no permissions.
Right.
What URL are you going to?
The project URL?
Yep.
Well, you can't go to the project URL. You have to go to the task URL.
No, the URL that comes with the email. Let me show you the structure.
No, yeah, you couldn't do that won't work.
Okay.
If the task is against the project, you got to have access to the project.
Okay. And
if you don't want to, and if that's not what you want to do, then don't use projects. Just have a tasks all in the Kanban against like an account or something.
Okay.
Or give the people access to project, which would make more sense.
Okay. Okay. Great.
All right.
Okay.
All right, get back to David Faith. Now we got more here.
I was just wondering if anyone online here wants to help us build an extension for the community edition so that we can simplify email processing.
It's an interesting little initiative.
right now we're just looking at defining the scope and seeing who wants to help out. We've got 2 people already from the community who've kind of volunteered to help. So we could use all the help we can get. You don't really even have to be a developer. So if you're interested, just reply to that post or send me a PM.
Okay.
So what's the objective here, David? You want to an email extension.
Well, you know, a lot of the features of the email features are somewhat crippled in the community edition with respect to, you know, being able to easily, you know, manage emails to the the operator being able to send and receive emails to clients, and having those emails, you know, be able to be received by Zurmo, you know, and then, you know, attached to the right, you know, account contact or custom module.
I'm curious what you guys come up with for this. Because some of this stuff, I mean, that would be, we can port it back in possibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You know, I mean, hopefully we'll, you know, not to say we can improve upon your.
I mean, because you can send emails, you can send emails out via Compose. It's okay, but you can't. There's no inbound. There's no. You can't like have an IMAP in Zurmo right now.
Right.
Or a POP. And I mean, that's like a whole thing, man. That's a whole thing.
I saw somebody. I had tried to attempt it using, and I'm not sure if they're online, but they tried to attempt it using a PostScript. Looks like they had a mail server in between, and they either scripted PostScript, you know, against the PostScript mail server, or did something like that. So we're just going to have to investigate, you know, what's available. The other thing is, as somebody mentioned on the post, that NextWave guy, there is a already another CRM that has a connector for a Thunderbird mail client. So that if you're in Thunderbird or you're reading your email, you can tag and resend the email back to Zurmo, and we'll be able to filter it and put it in the right object.
Thunderbird. Yeah, for vTiger, there's like a Thunderbird plugin.
So these are some of the things that we're thinking about doing. So. We like all the help we can get. This works out, we'll do some other ones. But I think the community needs to have more extensions.
I agree. I mean, yeah, and they need to build more stuff too, so I think this is a good initiative you're doing.
Yeah, it is. I can, David, if you want, I can post this on our Twitter and Facebook page to see if we can get more exposure to this.
Good, yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Thank you for.
Because a lot of people, you know, they're not going to really be good coders, but they might want to participate in other ways. You know, documentation, perhaps financing it. You know, whatever.
Okay. Well, we'll do what we can to get the word out.
Good training opportunity too.
Yeah. Excellent.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
All right. James, you have a question on workflow. You want to create a workflow where you can duplicate a file and set owner?
Yeah, just so you can, when you use a workflow to say create a new file or a new account, if there's a way to set the owner at the same time instead of having it as the default owner.
Huh.
Duplicate a file. Well, you can't duplicate files in workflow. Attachments, I guess. Is what
Not necessarily duplicating it, but through the workflow, creating one with a copy of the fields.
A file with a copy of the fields. So you want to create an attachment through workflow?
Not necessarily an attachment. We just want to say if you submitted an account to create a secondary account of the same exact fields, same exact values for those fields, but to have a separate owner. The purpose of that is to allow people to share a file, but to have their own individual view of that file.
What do you mean file? I don't understand. You're using the word
Well,
file, but...
The account. Like a specific account.
Okay, so you want to have an account that triggers a workflow and then have it create a second account?
A second account with a different owner.
Can't really do that because not from an account workflow. You couldn't.
Hello?
Jason, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you went dead for like 7 seconds.
I was saying like you probably can't do that in the user interface workflow. You'd have to do something custom.
Okay, that's what I was assuming.
Yeah. It's kind of an obscure workflow requirement. Anything else, James, while we're talking on your subjects?
I mean, I have a million questions, but you guys are doing a very good job of answering them all.
Well, it's nice that you have a lot of things to... So, I mean, how are you using Zurmo? Are you using it for, like, a non-CRM use case?
It's actually for more or less for a back end, for a real estate company.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually entering the more or less all of the information for the contract, where you would enter the contract price, you would enter the property name, the customer you're dealing with, the buyer, the seller, pretty much all these, and then have this managed through where you can pull in contacts and link them as a customer for a file or a buyer for a file. And so we'll be able to attach all these different things. We were using Zoho, and their customer service is horrible. So we're now porting or attempting to port our entire back end over to Zurmo.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's a lot to do, but when we get done, it'll be awesome. This is a great project.
Very nice. Okay. We got 15 minutes left. We can keep going. We can end early. It's up to you guys.
I have an interesting issue that I found in permissions. I kind of alluded to it last time. I don't know if anyone's interested in hearing about it.
Sure, what's up?
Jason, if you go to, I think it's add permissions in, I think it's secureable item, I think.
Okay.
Could you show that on your screen?
Yep. Hold on. Right here, switch me to the... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
It's in secureable item, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so you see how like it says if it's a named secureable item, then you clear the whole entire cache, but if it's a...
yeah. So,
I think this is a problem.
Well, hold on, let me think how to answer this. There's some major work I'm doing on performance in regards to permissions and rights. It's in a separate branch called Performance Fixes, I think. No, it's in a separate branch, and I've redone a lot of how this works. Well, I've changed a lot of how this works for performance reasons. And I think I did change this.
Well, I think there's a break, and let me tell you where I can't.
Although
get
no, forget all. No, you have to clear. You have to clear all. You have to clear.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so
You,
what's
for name
happening?
secure, you have to. You have to.
Right. And I think you have to do it with under certain circumstances. I think you have to also do it for if it's a own securable item.
No. Wow. Okay. Well, what's the circumstance do you believe that
From
you
what I
have to
can
clear all?
from what I can see so far, when you have a relation that's a custom object that is a relation of the object that you're attempting to access, I'm getting these like intermittent cache problems where it gives me access denied, and I don't have the data here to show you, but all I can kind of determine so far, and I'm still digging into this, is that the access isn't denied on the primary object.
Where are you getting access denied? Is it from you're in the list view and then you click on it, or how are you getting it?
Yeah, right, from the list view.
And you believe you should have access to it, or you shouldn't see it in the list?
Well, what's happening is it's going to the list view. It's going to the embedded object element, the element that's embedded in the list view, right? That's like the child object.
Okay.
And that object is not getting permissioned. It's not getting, the add permissions are not getting applied to that embedded object on the view.
So the list view shows the main object?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
and
I've done all this so far, right? I haven't done it like in the app. I've done it in the test framework, right? So, because I'm trying to get some data to show you, right? But so far, you're correct, right? You get to the list view, you know, everything's fine, and you click on the list, and then it goes and looks for that edit and details view. It goes into the field list and edit and details view. Gets all the fields up to that one field with the embedded object.
Okay. Is the embedded object, what kind of relation is the embedded object?
Well, I mean, now we're getting into like stuff that's really obscure that's not going to help everybody else because it's a custom object, right?
Yeah,
so
but
I can tell you. I mean, I can tell you.
The main, yeah, what's the relation of that? What you're referring to as an embedded object?
Yeah, let me just really quickly tell you. I gotta just find it. So I would assume it's a transfer. Here we go. So it's a has one, static has one.
Is it owned?
Nope,
It's not owned.
not owned.
But how does it get created? How does that has one get created? It gets created at because you're adding permissions just to the main one, right?
Yeah, it gets created.
The permissions of the main one are not going to
before
cascade
save.
down. Yeah, but the thing is, when you add permissions to the main object, they're not going to cascade down to that has one non-owned object.
Correct. So you have to explicitly set them and add permissions. And that's what I'm saying is when you do that, when it gets created and you're explicitly setting them, it's not taking. And it's
Well, because you got to save it.
Time, but not all the time.
If you're creating it, you got to create it, save it, set the explicit permissions, save it again.
All right, we'll try it again. I'm getting very close to having documentation on this problem, but my sense of it is, I'm just giving you a fair warning. I think there's a problem with that line of code on 348.
348.
Yeah. I think it needs to be forget all.
It can't be forget all because the problem is look, it sounds like there's some issue. It might be with what you're doing or how you're doing it. There might be some obscure bug. It might be something with how you're writing the test for it. But the thing is right here, you don't want to do forget all because let's say you have 10,000 objects that are cached up. 10,000 different accounts that are cached up. If you change the permissions on one of the accounts, it shouldn't clear out the permissions for all the accounts.
I agree, but that means then forget securable items should drill down and forget the...
But securable item, for example, if your securable item is a contact, okay? When you change the permissions on the contact, it's not changing the permissions on the related account, for example. That's, to me, it sounds like what's going on here. Is you're changing permissions on the contact, you're not changing the permissions on the related account, and when you go into the contact record, you're getting an error.
Okay, and I'm going to confirm that, right? But once I do, I'll let you know. You know, my sense is
Yeah,
that
no, that's
there's
good.
something going on in there. Because it's not happening all the time. That's the thing. If it was happening all the time, I would agree with you. But it's not happening all the time. It's happening occasionally.
Well, it could be an eviction. Okay. You could have something you did. That, again, it could be a bug. It could be something you did incorrectly, but because the cache, it's a permit. It's intermittent. You know, turn off memcache. Oh,
Yeah,
but then that's going to turn off the cache entirely.
Right.
Well, you know, the thing is, if you're getting an eviction, you could be getting a partial eviction. So, for example, the memcache could be evicting one of the objects, but not the other object, right? And so that's why it would be intermittently occurring as it's evicted.
How would you how would you inspect the memcache to see that?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't know if it was getting.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. Like, how can I confirm it, you know, and print it out somehow?
I mean, I guess in theory, what you could do is you're getting that access denied. So, I mean, that's intermittent. I mean, in theory, you could inside the permissions cache, like where it's not getting the memcache cached object, you could set some sort of global variable or something.
Basically, just step through the forget securable item.
Well, I mean, you'd have to kind of like, you're basically wanting it to like log something in the application log when it doesn't get the cached item, which would effectively show that it was evicted. And then you'd see like if that was happening right before you got the denied message, maybe. But I don't even know if I would even screw with that, because I would kind of look at what you're doing with adding permissions. You're adding explicit permissions. In my mind, you're adding explicit permissions on the contact, but you're not adding them on the related account.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, hopefully that helps.
And one other question, it might be related, might not. This particular object is subclass. It's just basically subclass. So one of my questions was, if it's, let's say you have like an account, just for example, right? And I want to subclass another model off of that account. Say I want to call it Windsor account. And am I going to mess up the permission schema, especially the caching, if I just go ahead and subclass that account?
You want to subclass an account the model?
Yeah, I'm just saying, for example, right? Like any model that's an unsecurable model, right? Derived from an unsecurable model. If I go and subclass that model, right? Am I going to mess up the caching and the permissions?
No. Well, are you gonna have it in a separate module?
No.
Oh.
I could. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. But the question's the same.
I just don't know the answer. I mean, maybe. But maybe not.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, it's all stored at the securable level, and so it doesn't matter your subclassing account.
Right. Okay. Good enough. I'll back to drawing board. I'll let you guys know next week.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. Any other questions before we adjourn?
I think we're good here.
Good, good.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you
Awesome.
for joining. We'll catch you guys next week. Okay.
I guess the one thing, guys, real quick, what I would say is I know a few people on the forums were complaining about how we tell everybody to come to the dev session. So if you guys see that type of stuff on the forums, just respond back to those people and just, I don't know, just be positive and say, I responded back, but just be like, it's good to come to the dev session. It's easier for us to like aggregate everything together. We're doing what we can with limited resources. So anything you as community members can do to other people to help, that's helpful. Even if you don't know how to code or you don't know how to answer a bug or something, just responding to people on the forums just helps build that community. So that's all I would ask of people.
Good point, Jason.
Great, great. Come with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.